whatever you do, General Tire delivers. 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 do. General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Wild Horse Pass. Apologies for a little bit of a hiccup here, but it looks like we are good to go. Before we get to the racing, though, we have time set aside for our nation's anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And it's time for the grid now for our first heat of the night. Connor Berry is on the pole with Jarrett Liebert starting next to him. Christopher Plumley will start from third as Timothy Messimer will be P4 and Sean Winkler in fifth. Dennis Mickelson at P6 will be followed by Cameron Magashik in seventh here today. So drivers eager and ready to go after our unfortunate hold here. And we'll see how they can fare over the course of these 6 laps. And it's going to be very important to have that track position. So you got to weigh it out, Dave. How much do you try and fight to get into that transfer spot? And how much do you just try and get to the end?
I know there's a little bit lower numbers here in this one. So, you could, have a better chance coming to the LCQ. But who wants to go to the LCQ? That's the thing. You got to qualify early, and that's what it's all about. I'll tell you, with Connor Berry turning the fastest time, he's going to be leading the pack here. So I think it's going to be a fight for the 2 guys behind him to qualify this one.
I think that's a safe bet, if I'm honest. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was able to try and pull away from everybody, although he has said that it's not as strong of a track for him in the past. So we'll see if maybe someone has some sort of shot here today. Liebert and Plumlee tend to be pretty good lately. Plumlee especially showing quite a bit of improvement, although unfortunately a little bit snake bit when it comes to luck. So maybe that'll turn around at a track like this as the pace truck peels in. They have control of the field, but they do have to wait for the start zone out of this final turn, waiting for Barry to get on the throttle. And they are really right up on top of him, not giving him any space as the green flag is out and we head down into the first turn. How are we going to be able to get through clean is the big question as they all swing through. Looks good for now.
And you can see him run right up against the rail. The fastest time there, Liebert, and Plumlee trying to fight right behind him there. You can see Liebert tries to rotate up to the inside here. See if he's going to try an outside-inside move coming in here to turn 3.
A little bit of bumping and banging down into 3. That's between Messimer and Winkler, but they get away with it. At the very back, Magashik alongside of Dennis Mickelson, excuse me. But they both, again, get away with it as we ride on board with Liebert now. Watching Barry, we hop up to Barry, looking back at his rival, and he's a little too far away right now. Getting that gap in these early stages will be important.
And you can see how he just pulls away on him right there at a turn number 2. Get back on the binders there. Liebert gets up there. Plumlee's right on Liebert's butt, though.
He's making sure that he has to stay honest here. They do have Messimer back there in 4th, but he's about equidistant away from those top 3. Not expecting anything major here unless someone has some sort of goof out on track. But we have seen that it is definitely possible. I wonder if it'll be similar to what we saw at Wild West down in turn 3, that a few drivers might get greedy on that K-rail.
Yeah, and that's something you can see a lot. That K-rail, it will reach up and grab you sometimes. Luckily, this one doesn't wrap around as much as close to him, but you could slide out of coming around in turn 5, get a little high, get into that K-rail right up there. I've seen that happen before also.
Absolutely. As they fly across the start-finish line once again, already halfway through this race, using those berms everywhere they can. Barry, Liebert, and Plumlee still your 3 that are set to advance, with Messimer, the first one on the bubble. And we've only had 2 position changes, actually. Mickelson and Winkler, the only 2 that have changed from where they began this race.
Yeah, this is a track you don't see a lot of passing on. Every once in a while you'll get a rare one there, but once these guys get them established their positions, it is a tough fight all the way through this track.
Following there towards the back of the pack here with Sean Winkler. He's the one to have lost a position, whereas Mickelson gained one out here in this race. Sean's got a ways to go to get up to the leaders, and even just to the advancing positions for that matter, which is his first concern. And we're going to get the white flag next time by, so if he is going to get up there, he's really going to have to hustle, so I wouldn't count on it.
Well, I think that was a good example, and you're seeing Winkler there. You can see how much they're moving that wheel, how much they're sawing back and forth, trying to keep that thing in the front forward position. These vehicles will get out of shape pretty quick, especially with all these turns.
Absolutely. Barry, with now less than a lap left to go, as he sends it down into 2. Tight little left-hand hairpin, back into a very tight right-hand hairpin. And he looks pretty clear to me. I don't think there's going to be much of a challenge in these final stages as he swings it around 4 and 5. And first heat race of the day is going to go to Connor Barry. Jarrett Liebert will finish 2nd, and Christopher Plumlee advances from 3rd. Timothy Messimer will be P4, Mickelson 5th, Winkler 6th, and Magashik 7th. Those final 4 will head off to the LCQ. Hopefully we won't have as long of a hold here for this second heat, which is already gritting up. Now, Keaton Swain will start on the pole of this one, the man that is chasing on Barry for that championship. Tom Grady starts beside him, and Keith Jeffrey will begin in P3. Crystal King starts from 4th as Cody Wieniecki is P5, John Binder 6th, and Ryan Linder will round out your 7 competitors in today's race. You were talking about the difficulties in overtaking. I wonder how much more aggressive they're going to be down into turn one because of what we saw in that last race, knowing that they've got to try and make up spots at basically any chance they can.
Well, there's the old adage, you're not going to win the race in turn number one, but you could definitely try to fight your way up there to qualify. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have to probably tiptoe a little bit through there, try to establish their positions, and look for 2 to 3 where the pass should be made.
Looks like they're already getting ready to head out then and get on their way. Well, they'd like to, but the pace truck's not going anywhere. There we go. Now it's moving. They just had to urge it along there for a moment. Now, we saw what this is like with 7 trucks out there in that last one. Now imagine once we get to a full field for that feature race, it gets quite cramped. We'll probably see a few more drivers, unfortunately, get turned over, because that's what happened last time we visited here with just about every heat seen one. Thankfully, a good start for this one that nobody got turned over in that first heat. But crossing fingers, knocking on wood that I haven't just jinxed it.
Yeah, you throw out the old announcer's jinx on them.
My wife even did that to me today. I said, I'm taking a trip to California, and I said, I hope nothing goes wrong like my previous 2 trips. And she says, you just jinxed it. I was like, I'm not commentating right now. It doesn't count. As we come around the final corners and take the green flag, Swain is on it very early as they come down into turn 1. Down to the inside for Keith Jeffrey. It was a valiant effort, but it's not going to stick. However, watch out for Tom Grady. Great over-under and has the inside down in 2.
And Grady was a beautiful move there. There was 3 wide. King trying to get up in the fight. Jeffrey makes a move by King, tries to force her to the outside. You see when Nikki Bender and looks like also Linder back there just kind of struggling. But Swain already established in his position there out front. And he's got a little bit of clean air out behind him too.
Grady not only lost out to Jeffrey back to that second place, but watch out for Winyeki, who's now overtaken Crystal King and is trying to see if he can challenge on the number 535 as they swing it down into turn 2. Once again, almost 3 wide back there in the back of the pack. It is frantic looking.
And Jeffrey had a beautiful line coming through turn number 2 there. The preferred middle line there pretty much copied, mirrored what Swain was doing. Grady struggling back there a little bit.
Linder had one of the strangest incidents I've ever seen. He got bumped in the middle of the air by Crystal King, but that wasn't the strange part. He got shoved off track, almost had to cut the course, tried to turn around to get back onto it, but because it was off the jump, he had to leap the car back onto the circuit, and it rolled because of that.
Some crazy things are happening there. I do believe they said that it was an old Indian burial ground, so some strange things could happen there.
Absolutely. This is usually how those things go.
Yeah.
Keaton Swain, though, is apparently got good juju because, man, he is taken off, and it's 1.2 seconds over Keith Jeffrey. So he has basically got himself clearness up in front and behind. A lot of that berm there on the outside, as we saw. I think that was when Yeki just climbing the outside wall.
Yeah, you can see these guys are literally just at that wheel turned in the air when they're landing, getting ready to set up for turn 2. You just got to wonder one time you just make that mistake and up and over you go.
It switches back into 4 and 5 now, and they come on to the main straight. Crystal King, kind of the big loser out of all of this. She's fallen back to 5th place and hasn't been able to make that back up, unfortunately, as we ride on board with her. Already missing a bit of body work here in this one, as it has been getting physical.
Yeah, you can see that front left fender is already gone a little from that earlier contact she had there. Might have been when she was hitting with Linder, I believe.
Yeah, that'd be my guess as well. Going to get the white flag now as they come around the last turn. And Keaton Swain starting to look a lot like how Connor Berry has been racing lately. Just basically takes off into the distance and has a quiet race up at the front while everybody else squabbles for positions behind. There you can see Keaton coming over the leaps, and they land immediately after that straight into turn 2. You have to be so on top of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things about this track. You can get out front. You're not going to really run away with it, but you can gap them out just a little bit because everybody tends to get into those little skirmishes through each turn.
Down out of the final corner, Keaton Swain taking valuable points in his heat by grabbing the win. Keith Jeffrey finishes second, and Tom Grady will be advancing in third. Quinn Yecke is the first to not make it in fourth. Crystal King in fifth, and John Binder in sixth. Of course, Linder, who did get back on his tires, is going to cross the line last of the field and have to head to the LCQ. We've got the next heat now getting ready to grid up. It's the third of our four this evening. And Mason Prater, who is a local out here, will be starting on the pole. Nicholas Dachelet will be in P4. Felix Roy starts third as Zachary Drapkin in fourth and James Burke in fifth. Then it's Colin Murphy in the sixth position and Paul Mikolajic in seventh today. So that one, a little bit of a different feel to that second heat than we saw to the first one.
Yeah, definitely. And it showed that Paul did not qualify, so it's going to throw him right into the back there. He's going to have a hard fight, I'll tell you. That's not a position you want to be in a heat race.
It is absolutely not. And as they come around on their pace lap, same as before, 7 trucks taking part. I think we'll have 7 in all of the heats. No, excuse me, we'll have 6 for that last one in heat 4. But it will remain the same as the top 3 will advance, and the drivers at the bottom will have to head to the LCQ. Here we go. Pace truck is in. Prater has control of the field down to the inside as they all get stacked up, riding on the banking here in the final corners. Looking for the throttle. Ooh, it was a bit of a late start and a checkup for the entire field. They thankfully don't have any sort of wreck there before the start-finish line, but what about into turn 1? Someone gets chucked out. I think that was Drapkin.
Yeah, it looks like he just got up on the high side there, just went on the bike and into the catch fence there for sure. Prater, I'm just noticing Prater some different colors. He's always ran that white and blue, running the red. Really stands out, really liking that.
Indeed, and so Drapkin, unfortunately, being into the catch fence, actually I think got up and over and has been automatically sent into pit lane. Look at this fight here for third position. That's Felix Roy at the front of them, who came out ahead, but he has got some stiff competition behind him.
Yeah, that's one dejected right there, Zachary Drapkin. As you can see, when he saw that he got out of the pit, there's like, okay, I'm going to the LCQ. Pretty much know it at this point. But yeah, look how much they've already gapped out a little bit there. Prater's, jumped out front. When we saw Dachelet and Roy were just battling with them all the way through turn 1 into turn 2, and then Prater just starts, putting footsteps on him.
Ooh, bad moment for Colin Murphy. Kind of ran into one of the barriers on the inside as he falls to the back of the field. So Prater, Dachelet, Roy, still your top 3. As you mentioned, they've gapped everybody else. Burke in 4th, but he's only really got Mikolajic behind him now that Murphy had his issue. And you can see Drapkin at the very back in pit lane. Basically, I think he's frustrated enough that he's not going to try and take part with in this. He is coming out just now, actually. So he is going to try and get some laps in, maybe get some practice, because he's probably not going to be taking positions from here.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a great time. You know what? You're not in the race. You still can get a couple laps in there. Maybe you can figure something out, figure out what you did wrong, and don't do it again.
Yeah, I think he blamed the others for what went wrong, though. It sounded like from the radio he was immediately on the horn asking what was going on with everybody else. But as we ride on board with James Burke in this 4th position, going to be down to 2 to go. You can see the distance that he has lost to the top.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can just chalk it up to turn 1 racing with these guys.
Yeah. I think sometimes you're just going to get those things down into those first corners in this style of racing as they fly past the back stretch and down into turn 2. The leader, Mason Prater, very similar to what we saw with the first 2, is just kind of skipping off into the distance. He's got a gap of about 1 second over Dachelet right now. And now it is 1 lap to go. Then we'll have one last heat after this one.
Yeah, you pretty much you see they've got broken down into 2 groups out here. You know the top 3 are equally spaced out there, good little gap, but still got a battle going with Burke and Mikulajic also.
Into turn 2 once again. And just no threat from behind as they come over the jump, back down the hill, and into 3. All of them nice and steady into that hairpin. Bit of a battle for position behind them, but up at the front, Prater is going to take heat win number 3 from the pole. That's all 3 pole sitters taking wins. Dashilet second. Felix Roy advances from third. But Burke is going to be the one to finish in 4th. Mikulajic 5th. Murphy 6th. And Drapkin will wind up in 7th position. All those final 4 heading into the LCQ. We grid up for heat number 4 now. One less car than what we witnessed before, and Jacob Raffis will be on the pole. Tyson Miller starts 2nd, Briley 3rd, and Scott Kerr on the outside of that row. Simoneau starts in 5th, and Johnson will round out your 6-truck field. Now, normally, with a name like Raffis up at the front, I'd expect him to skip away like we saw with the other 3. But he's got Tyson Miller back there. That's not a driver that I would bet against too many times.
Yeah, I know. He's really come into his own this season so far, getting that win under his belt. But I'm waiting for Bryce Simoneau. He's had a rough one, too. Him and Plumley just been getting beat up left and right.
Yeah, he had a really hard time out at Wild West. Maybe his luck will turn around here today. We'll see. But they will have to try and survive that first corner, and we've already seen it at least take out one truck, unfortunately. Let's cross our fingers that we don't get another one to wind up rolling over through these first few corners. Pace truck now heads into the lane, gives control over to the Scandinavian in that 13 truck, waiting for the green flag as they run wide around the banking. And there it is. Green flag is out for Raffis. Very good jump for him. Behind him, Miller's having to fight off Briley, who's got to the inside. He's going to give him space on the exit. It's a drag race off the corner. Can Briley keep down that inside into 2?
Well, you can see a little bit of contact there as they come in and around. That usually happens in turn 2 there. They get on the binders, and sometimes the guys come in a little hot in there too. But you can see Raffis, Miller, Briley, top 3. That's how they started. That's how they're through.
So looks like Miller's going to be able to retain that 2nd position. Battle for 4th behind them between Simoneau and Kerr as they cross the line. Now starting lap 2 of this race. Looks like the 84, the great run coming off the corner.
And that's what you want to do is get that good run. You got to get that exit speed, and that's what the key is.
Can it bring him up to Briley next? That's his real goal here. He tries to go down to the inside of 3, but he's not quite close enough. Right now, as it sits, Scott is the first driver that's going to be heading to the LCQ from this group. So he needs to try and catch up to Trent Briley just to make his night a little bit safer. But this got single file quite quickly now.
Yeah, they pretty much just fell into line right there. And Kerr, he knows he's got to get another position. He's got to get up to Briley. So he might start to overdrive the car a little bit. We'll see how he does.
He was having that fight with Bryce a little bit before, so wonder if that will erupt again. Wow, he sends it in very deep and does manage to get to the inside of Trenton this time. Trenton's all out of sorts over the whoops. That slows him up, and a great run is going to give Kerr that 3rd spot.
And look at Simoneau now. He was trying to go to the inside there of Briley. But a beautiful move by Kerr. He just kind of like, all right, I was starting to overdrive, settle down, get calm, get your line, hit your marks.
And interesting, you always have to think so three-dimensionally compared to traditional racing in this style of motorsport. Getting over the whoops, it seemed, undid Trent. He's going to try and look underneath the 84 and isn't quite there.
Yeah, Trenton's going to try and go for a few of the inside moves here, I think. He's going to try and force the situation without trying to change the attitude or the position of the truck in front of him. It's all about angles.
As they swing into turn 1. Can't quite get the overlap there off the corner. Through the, I don't know what you'd call that. It's not a tabletop. It's kind of the reverse. Down there, whoa, as he gets a big hit from Simoneau behind him.
Yeah, Semino was coming a little hot there, and Briley, I think, got out of shape again, too. He's trying to recollect the truck. So I think it was just a typical racing incident.
Indeed. Up at the front, Miller and Raffis still only split by about 0.3 of a second, so that one is tight all the way down to the final lap of the race, which we've already reached here. So Miller making sure that Raffis has to keep an eye on those mirrors at the end of this thing. But what about Kerr versus Briley? Briley tries to get his nose in and get that spot back. Doesn't work there. He's running out of opportunities. We'll see if he can do it here as he almost chucks it into the side of him. They do come together. Both almost go off the track. Up at the front, though, Raffis is going to take the win in the number 13. Miller's going to finish in second. Kerr survives to finish in P3. Briley fourth, Semino fifth, and Johnson in sixth. And what was probably the liveliest of the three heats that we have seen so far. I believe that takes us to a short break here before we get to the first of the LCQs. We'll be back with more action here at Wild Horse Pass.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Wild Horse Pass. We are already underway as we start lap 2 of the first LCQ. Messimer having to fight his way to the front, beating out Mickelson and Burke, and they actually get single file now that we come back live. Of course they do, and we'll see if that erupts once again. Last chance qualifiers often get all the more frantic because everybody knows that they're not going to get to race anymore if they aren't within those top 3. Heading around turn 2, there you can see some of the physicality going on. Magashik getting shoved out of the way by Mikolajic. Messimer continues to lead. Top 3 right now are himself, Mickelson, and Burt, Dave, so they are sitting in the prime position.
Yeah, I mean, you're already halfway through this race. You got 4 laps to make it happen. So pretty much in an LCQ, sometimes you're going to have to force the issue. And that can get you into trouble, or it can get you in a position. It's all how it's done.
A measured aggressiveness as we check in with Winkler. First one to be outside of the transfer spots in 4th right now. And he's going to try and look to the inside of Burke to no avail. It looks like they have gotten pretty single file here in these last few laps, and they've only got 1 more to go now. Messimer doing a great job there up at the front to manage things.
Yeah, Messimer's just got his groove on right now. A little bit of net coating going on there, I can see. Disappeared for a second, but not going to be too much a factor right now. White flag. He's got a good gap back to Mickelson. And it looks like Burke, Oh, wow. Winkler Megashik just got out of shape there big time.
Winkler, unfortunately, been sent almost on a cut course, but decided to turn it back around as Messimer is going to win the first LCQ. Mickelson will finish P2. Burke will advance for Mikalajic, Magashik, Murphy, and Winkler. The night is over, sadly. They can only watch from here. And as we expected, it definitely got pretty rough and tumble there towards the back. Thankfully, not going to miss the start here for the second one, as they're already gridding up. Now, Cody Wieniecki will be on the inside of the front row for this one. Trenton Briley will start in second. Crystal King, P3, will be flanked by Bryce Simoneau. Then it's John Binder in fifth and Greg Johnson sixth. Ryan Linder starts P7 and Zach Drapkin back of the field in eighth with some work to do.
Yeah, definitely is going to be a lot of work. And I think this one we've seen, we get a little physical here in the LCQs. I think this one might be a little bit more physical considering some of the drivers that are in there. They're getting a little frustrated having to fight their way up and not making these main events. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it happens. It's racing.
Yep. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. Someone's going to have to get knocked out. And as hard as you fight, sometimes it means you're not fighting hard enough if you wind up among the last few. Interesting, the wide turn there from Trenton Briley, just going out to the edge of the track. Wonder if he's trying to maybe clear it up a little bit, get himself a line, or just explore and see what kind of grip he can get if it starts to pack up there. As they actually come together there on the front row. It was a light hit, so I think they are okay. Drapkin looks as serious as a heart attack back there because he wants to try and get through as he is on the gas, and so is Wieniecki and Briley heading down into the first corner. Both of them go to the outside as King goes to the inside, but you can't find the grip. Almost once again coming together and trying to stay on the throttle. Briley loses momentum.
Yeah, he threw that little shake out there, a little contact again. The Binder coming into contact with Briley. Briley's just going to get beat up there, being in that third position, the final transfer spot there. So there's going to be a lot of fighting going on. I said this one's going to be physical, and it has not disappointed.
Well, Wieniecki's glad that he's out of the mess. He is way up at the front, and King is starting to distance herself as well. Briley still fighting with Binder, who is not ready to give up on tonight. He's tried to take the inside, but can't do it. So now he slots back into line. Drapkin's only made up one position, despite me seeing him make some aggressive moves there at the back. Now it looks like he managed to get one.
Yeah, that Sundrop has definitely turned to hand him the inside. He's looking, he's peeking there. But Briley had that preferred line. It's the quick line is what I'm going to call that preferred line each time.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case. There's a place that you want to be, and if you're not on that line, it's going to be extremely difficult to try and make positions. Down to 2 laps to go now, already halfway through this extremely quick LCQ, and Binder looks like he's lost the plot a little bit. He can't keep up with Briley. How hard does Briley want to fight Crystal King? Obviously had that spot taken away by the 278, but he is in an advancing position, and he's sitting safe.
Yeah, you got to think about being smart now, considering we're coming to the white flag right now. Don't force the issue. Qualify. Get to the main event. Don't just say, hey, I can take this opportunity, and then you both get taken out.
Down into turn 1. He's going to stay in line, not going to challenge. Both of them about a second back from Wieniecki, who's been controlling this race as they break into turn 2. Once again, not seeing any major attempts there from Trenton, and they have dropped Binder by about a second as well. So they're sitting pretty. All they got to do is make these last couple corners, and they'll be able to enjoy one more big race tonight while the others take a seat. Up at the front, Wieniecki takes the win. Crystal King finishes P2, and Briley will finish third. Binder, Simoneau, Johnson, Drapkin, Lindner are now done for the night. So there we go. The nerves are done, and unfortunately we saw some big players fall by the wayside once we get to the feature. And I believe we are going to stick around this time and wait for them to grid up for this one. 18 trucks taking part in this race. That's going to be even harder to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get busy out there for sure. It's going to be like rush hour in the 15 coming in there. You can see the freeway. I've actually seen that freeway back up as they're racing here. That's how close to the freeway it is. And it's going to be just like that. It's going to be rush hour.
Up on the pole, Keaton Swain starts with the regrid that they have for this night. Connor Berry will start from P2, and Mason Prater will be third. Then it's Jacob Raffis, who will start from fourth. Jarrett Liebert, P5, is flanked by Keith Jeffrey in sixth. Nicholas Dashlet starts seventh. Tyson Miller will be P8. Christopher Plumley in ninth. And the last of the top 10 is Tom Grady. After that, you have Felix Roy in 11th. Scott Kerr will start in 12th. And Timothy Messimer will be 13th. Cody Wieniecki, P14. And Dennis Mickelson in 15th. Crystal King manages to squeak in there in 16th, along with James Burke 17th, and Trenton Briley, the last of the field, in the 18th position. Don't forget, they have a competition caution in this race. So, yes, they may get a little bit spread out over the first half, but it'll get bunched back together, and everybody will get a second shot at things.
So 26 laps, but we're still going to go a little before the halfway. I believe you said at lap 11 we're going to throw the comp caution.
That's what the rules told me. We'll see if we're told right this time. Because, yes, it's usually halfway, which would be 13. Yeah. But I was told 11, so we'll see. We'll hold on to our hats when it gets close to that time. If it goes past the 11th lap, then we got our answer. As they come around out of the final corner, the track has been reset. Everybody is ready to go for the big show, and the green flag is out. Keaton Swain up against his rival, has the inside line down into turn one, and it looks like he will emerge in that position as well. Barry having to fight Prater off the corner.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one there. Jacob Raffis, though, trying to get up in the fight there. Oh, contact! 3, 4, 5 cars getting all beat and banged around here.
Prater shoved to the outside of the corner. That sends him all the way back to 8th, and he was sitting in 3rd before that. Oh, it's almost 5 wide in there as they're trying to squeeze through. And amazingly, they all made it through. Up at the front, though, Barry is not letting Swain run away with this one. He's all over the back of him.
Yeah, it's great to see all the numbers that we have for this track. I mean, especially being a short, tight track, it makes it interesting for racing. And we talked about the possibility of seeing some lap traffic. That could come into effect later on, or at least close to the halfway point, if not after the restart. But yeah, you're right. Barry is all over Swain. These two starting to separate out there. Raffis back to 3rd, a good little gap right there. Then you got Dashley and Plumley right behind him, with Prater sitting in 7th now. Miller and Roy and Jeffrey, the top 10.
And something happened to Roy, actually.
Yes.
Not quite sure.
Back to 13th now?
Yeah, and in fact, he was kind of shoved off into the pit lane, because at first I thought he actually completely went off course, because my timing and scoring showed pit lane time for him. So he must have registered because he just poked his nose over the cones. Meanwhile, you can see he's still getting beat around a little bit, as that's Mickelson to his inside. Yeah,
definitely. There's a lot of contact going on there. As you can see, these corners aren't as wide as some of them, and you know, those tight turn 2 and 3. So you really got to fight for position.
This place honestly strikes me as being more built for motocross or something. It is so small for these trucks, but they make it around. And you can see as we head up to the number 13 of Raffis, trying to see if he can get back onto the podium. He's currently sitting in 4th, and he's going to challenge for that 3rd spot as he looks to the inside of Liebert.
Yeah, Raffis trying to get a fight. You know, he's got a lot of rallycross experience, being a former champion, so he knows how to slide on the dirt.
Absolutely. And the first driver on iRacing to reach over 10,000 iRating on the dirt roadside. That is, I mean, that is an accomplishment no matter which class of racing that you're in. So that tells you the sort of caliber that he is. Still seeing a lot of single file now that drivers have kind of settled down a little bit, although there have been definite looks for position, just nobody able to make a pass.
Yeah, definitely is, really trying to, get up there through the pack there. But, Liebert and him, they've already gapped out on top of with Swain and Barry. But, like we said, there's going to be a competition option. You're going to re-rack, we're going to restack, and that's a whole nother race. So you're going to see a whole nother fight go on here. And some of these drivers tend to get faster in the second half of the race as they're set up for their vehicles were set up that way.
Interestingly, Grady given a black flag. I think that was for too many incident points, so he's had to come in and park it for a stop and go. Things coming to a near halt there out of turn 2 for Mickelson at the back of the field.
Yeah, they're definitely getting tighter, and they're getting very physical right now. You can see a lot of shoving going on, a lot of elbows being thrown.
Love this view that we've got from Mickelson showing his triple screen. It feels very real, I would say, the way that he's got these set up and the darkness in there, just kind of the net to the side, feeling like it's right there and he could reach out and grab it as they come around turn 2 once again. And that behind them was when Yeki and Burke coming together.
Yeah, that really gives you that immersion. I think that's one of the keys. It's, either that or you go with the VR sets.
Yeah, the VR. I've gotten to use one once or twice with iRacing, and immersion is definitely the word for it. Oh, we've had a problem for Felix Roy now at the back.
Oh, Roy's out.
Oh,
showing his.
He was
out.
DQ'd. Yeah, he had a black flag. I did see that. He must have not served it. You get about 3 or 4 laps before you get that disqualification notification. So. As Barry's overtaken on Swain and managed to get ahead.
Yeah, he went the long way around, too. He went on the outside, came around, was able to keep that speed up there. Very shocking. And I know Swain's getting tired of being a bridesmaid.
I don't think he's going to settle in and accept this. They are on lap 9, though, so we're going to get that competition caution soon-ish. We'll see which lap it comes out on as they head into turn 3 once again, just giving him a hello, letting him know he is still there. Rafis also managed to overtake on Liebert for P3 as well. Every single position at this track has to be very hard fought for.
Well, you notice they're starting to catch back up. Their gap is starting to decrease just a little bit there. Swain's starting to get a little Rafis in his rearview mirror right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I wonder if some of that was that battling that we saw for the lead that kind of brought them in. But now that Connor has gotten ahead, will he be able to stretch away from the 21, or has he got the measure of him as we're on board with the Nitro Circus car of Rafis now?
No, I don't think that Barry's going to be able to pull away from Swain here before we get to the comp caution here, because Swain is on point, made a little mistake, allowed Barry to get around, go the long way around. And, Rafis now keeping them right in check.
Along the backstretch once again. This is lap 11. If we get that yellow at the end of this lap, then it'll be as we were told. They fly over the jump and down the hill into turn 3 once again. Top 3 still very tight together. Seems like Liebert having trouble keeping up with that 13, and he's already under threat from Dashilet behind him. But he might run out of time here, Dashilet, to try and make the move, as there is the yellow flag, and we are going to slow it down.
They're liking that number 11.
We got it right this time. Hooray.
Yeah.
Very strange incident there with Felix Roy. I've seen that happen a handful of times, and usually that's some drivers can maybe miss that. I'd be very shocked if the driver wasn't somehow aware that they were being given that black flag, because it's shown on you in the right-hand side of the screen, and you're being told by your in-game spotter constantly that you need to serve that. So that was most likely a protest, if you will, that he did not agree with what happened to him.
I was just going to say the same thing. He's like, no, that's not me. You got the wrong guy.
Unfortunately, the computer takes care of everything automatically, so can't really just keep running out there because it will park you. As we do have Tom Grady a lap down. Not entirely sure how that happened. Mickelson's going to come in and take a spare truck in the 41. He was getting beat around quite a bit, so he'll get back out on the lead lap. Grady is being waved around the pace car, and he'll get back with the very tail end of the group. They have to waste a couple laps here behind that pace truck to get back rolling once again. So hence why we see the pace truck actually officially out here, unlike the usual them parking it on the circuit and waiting for everybody to catch up.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer this time as we're waiting to go around there. Now it is Is it clicking laps down on us?
It is, yes. I believe these count.
Yes. I think we're going to go to start here. Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, they'll let Grady catch up at the next time by. They should. Yeah, we're on lap 13. It'll be lap 14 at the end of lap 14 when they get going. Interesting that they decided not to make laps not count here under yellow, because they do have that option in iRacing. Not sure if that'll be something maybe they consider in the future, at least for this circuit, or if they just figured might as well take it all into account with the pace truck coming out and letting everybody cool down in a single file line here behind it. And Grady is just about now to the back of the group along with Mickelson.
It was showing him 2 laps down before.
Oh, was it? Interesting.
Down.
So he goes to 1 lap down now.
Yes.
Well, that I think can't be helped. I think they only give 1 wave by, and now he's just going to have to hope that there's some attrition out there, because I doubt he's going to make up a whole lap in these 13 laps. So here we go. Connor Berry now has control as Keaton Swain watches. Can he do anything on this restart? It's going to be his best opportunity, most likely. And on the flag, Berry gets on the gas and goes down into turn 1 with quite a bit of clear space between himself and Swain.
Yeah, he timed that just perfectly, because everybody else was nose to tail right on each other's bumpers. So this was a close one. Berry, that's where it starts it, and he was the one that had the good timing.
A little bit of beating and banging in the back, but it looked pretty good to me down through 2. What about into 3?
Well, it looks like Raffis had a little contact with Swain. Swain able to shoot up and hold that position. Raffis said, hey, it worked for Berry. Let's see if I can go around the outside, but not going to be enough. But look at this. Liebert coming up to challenge Raffis now.
Raffis goes way deep into the corner, and he's a little slow off the turn. The 10 starting to threaten for this P3 as they head into turn 2. Just gives him a little tap behind him. Truck still sliding in hard into that corner, trying to elbow their way past. Now side by side behind them, somebody got shoved out. That was trying to make out who that was. Is that Prater, I think, potentially? Yeah, that was Prater. They fly over the tabletop here, past the start-finish line once again. Berry pulling a bit of a gap.
Deep in the field right now. Kind of shocked.
Yeah, Prater's been having trouble trying to catch back up. But the man that's been doing pretty well is Plumley here that he's fighting with in that purple truck. He's up 3 positions since the start.
Yeah, I was just actually going to mention it. The purple machine, he is on the room. The purple people eater, I'm going to have to call that one.
Absolutely. As he comes around into 3 or 4 and 5, and a beautiful over-under for Prater is going to get him the track position. So that won't work out well for Plumley. And as they fly out of 1, yep, that spot is now in the hands of the 50.
Yeah, Prater was able to make that stick there. But look at this. Plumley to the inside, over-rotates there. Prater had that middle preferred line, though. Not able to gain on him, though. Into turn 3, here we go. Plumley slides it around there. Prater, great exit.
Yeah, he's doing a good job managing this, despite Plumley trying everything, including kind of tipping him around a little bit. But the 4-wheel drive comes in handy, and Prater stays in that 6th spot. No change in front of them. They're all just kind of running line astern, so this is where the action is.
Yeah, it's a little bit of sometimes you get a little frustrated out there and carry a little too much speed in the corner, and you can have a little contact there. You don't want to, over-rotate or at least change the position of the driver in front of you by doing that either.
Yeah, if he's getting frustrated, it won't be the purple people eater. It'll be Grimace, unfortunately.
Grimace, that's right.
And, well, it might just be that, because I think he got a black flag. Yep, Plumley had too many incident points.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a lot of contact there, and I think there was a little bit of frustration. And it's not something that Plumley we normally see.
No, certainly not. So that's going to send him to the back of the field. Depending on how long this takes, Grady now might have a chance to have somebody to fight against there at the back of the field. Not exactly ideal conditions for either of them. And there he's back and rolling, but it's going to be right in front of the leaders. Is he going to wait? Yeah, he's going to wait. That's the gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah. He'll put him a lap down, but that's okay. And you can see Grady's already a lap down too, so hopefully he can get up there and start working his way up, at least get on in front of Grady.
So looking over his shoulder like he's trying to get onto the highway there. As he now is back onto the track, and things getting a little bit intense between Dashilet and Liebert. We're looking at our leader, but they're back behind him. This is for the 4th position. That's Liebert in the 10. That's Dashilet in the 23.
Now, that's one of the things, the advantage of the VR is as you rotate your head, the farther you rotate, the more you see. Where if you just got your monitor, a single monitor, even a 3 monitor, you're only up to that point for your vision.
Exactly. Imagine like having just sort of a letterbox there that you could only see through. It's very limiting compared to real life. So Dashilet still seeing where he can maybe overtake, but we're coming down to the last few laps here. It's going to be 4 to go at the line.
Barry's still holding on to that one out front there. You know, Swain just can't seem to get that speed back up again. He had it for the first half of the race, but Barry has always been a second half of the race guy. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to be strong, you might as well have a strong anchor in these races, because that'll give you a better shot at trying to get that win. There's Barry at half a second ahead of Keaton Swain. Raffis behind them by about 1 second right now. And the podium pretty well established at these final laps of the race as they come up around the banking. Almost looks like surfing a wave as they drift out of there.
Yeah, it's a good line there, but you can see Swain will catch up and then the accordion on out, and then he catches back up again. And we'll see it into turn 2.
Does look pretty good on this first part of the course. But he needs to be strong all around, and especially into these hairpins where he can hope to try and make a move. He's awful close here, but that line getting farther and farther to the outside. Anybody tries to poke their nose inside, I don't think they're going to be able to get a good exit.
And Barry taking a little bit higher line there than Swain. A little bit smoother, I think. Oh, look at this. Right up on his bumper.
Wow. Yeah, that was a fantastic lap from Keaton Swain. Not his fastest of the race, but certainly quick when he needs it. It's down to 2 laps to go here, and suddenly he's viable for the win. He could maybe try and make a move. He's going to look down to the inside, but as they accelerate off of turn 3, it's not totally there. He still has overlap. Can he maybe do something? Force an over-under here on the final turn? Not quite. Oh, but he's still got the overlap on the other side now as they come into one. Last lap. Who's it going to be as he tries the slide job? But no, it's not there.
And he's got to keep that inside position, get the nose up there, and try and block that turn, but nope. Connor carries a little bit later into the turn, able to hold on to it.
Raffis was even trying to see if he could maybe chuck that car in and do something, but no dice for now as we come around the final turns. It was a very valiant effort from Keaton Swain. He did minimize the damage here with a 2nd place, but Connor Barry will once again extend that point lead with a win as Swain finishes P2 and Raffis will round out your podium.
A little deja vu going on there. 1, 2, 3. Once again, Barry, Swain, and is it showing route?
Yep, Raffis should be marked as 3rd. I'm seeing him as 3rd and watched him cross the line as they all swing across that timing line here quickly. And it looks like that'll take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
do, General Tire delivers. Whatever you do, General Tire.
Welcome back to Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. It was a bit of a delayed start, but we got it all in here for the latest round of the General Tire National Series. And in the end, Connor Berry took another win, but it wasn't by much this time. 0.2 of a second. Swain is putting the pressure on. He's making sure that Connor can't have any slip-ups in these last few rounds, as Raffis is going to finish in P3 and Dashalet is going to finish fourth. Prater is going to wind up fifth. He got kind of beat around there, but eventually climbed back forward, as Jarrett Liebert is going to finish in P6. Tyson Miller was seventh, and Keith Jeffrey eighth. After that, it's Scott Kerr, P9, and Crystal King was up 6 positions to finish in 10th today. Cody Wieniecki was 11th. Trenton Briley actually followed suit. Remember, he started well towards the back. In fact, dead last on this field and finished 12th, up 6 for him as well. Timothy Messimer was 13th. James Burke 14th. Mickelson 15th. And then you had Plumley and Grady a lap down, and Felix Roy a DQ, strangely. Not something we see very frequently in this series and out of it. But at the front of it all, Connor Berry managed to take the win with just tremendous pressure being applied for much of it there, especially late in the race when suddenly Swain was starting to catch up. So as we take a chat with Connor, I have to ask, Connor, it looked like you had things handled early on in the race. Then suddenly, Keaton was coming on with a vengeance. What happened? Oh, we're not. I think you're muted, Connor. We're not hearing you. There we go.
Check.
We got you
There
now.
you go.
There. My setup, it fell off hard and it was bad. That was the tightest truck I have ever had, and I did not think that I could still win this. But I was able to get around them, or I was able to get the run going out of turn 1, and I was able to get the cap. So I'm glad that I could still win this, but I definitely need to find the speed there.
It seemed like it, the way that Keaton was climbing all over you there at the end. Is this sort of a wipe of the brow? You're glad this one's out of the way now?
Yeah. I knew that I could win here. It's definitely my best track on the sim, so I knew that I could win here. I wasn't expecting my setup to be so weird there. It's usually the best. It's usually good on the start and good towards the end. So I obviously I need to go back and find some more. Yeah, I'm glad that it is done and all eyes are set on on Crandon Short in a week.
Indeed. So another little tight, twisty track. And last time we went there, it was a little bit chaotic. Are you looking forward to more of that unpredictability?
Um, for me, I do not. I need this to just go as smooth as it can be. My points lead and now it should be pretty good. But I need to be smart and move. It's going to be hard to get it done there, but I think I can find some speed there. I think I was P2 there in round 4, so I think I can definitely can get up there. I just need to avoid all of the carnage.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, again, congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you up in Wisconsin.
For sure. Thanks, guys, and I want to give a big shout out to all of my sponsors, CBR, General Tire, and all of you guys for this stream.
Thank you very much. That was Connor Berry, your winner here today. Whereas I believe Dave has caught up with Keaton Swain, who wound up second.
Well, Keaton Swain, another rough one for you. I bet you're being tired of being the bridesmaids out there, but it looked like you were starting to find something towards the end of that race. You had an early lead. Connor got you, but man, it was a rough one.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, got gifted starting on the pole there and thought this was going to be my chance, and just a little too much of a handful at the early stages of that race and on my setup, and Connor got around me, but I kind of set my truck up to be better in a late race there, and it was working for a little bit. Thought I had a decent chance there, but just wasn't enough. Can't complain though, losing to Connor. Dude's really good at racing these trucks, and especially on this track. So to still be able to hold on to second, I can't complain too much.
Well, I know Connor usually tries to set up his truck for second half. Is that something you've been trying to do? I know one thing is get up there, establish your position before the comp caution, and then make the run for it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Connor's passed me way too many times at the end of these races within the last lap or two, so that was my weakness for a while, and now I've got to figure out a happy medium to get fast enough there at the beginning of the race to be able to hold him off. So we'll just
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say those last 2 laps, you really seemed like you had him there.
Yeah, we were reeling him in. He said his truck was getting really tight, and like I said, I tried to set my truck up there for the end to hopefully either make a pass or hopefully I would have been ahead of him, and he would have had to try to get around me the last couple of laps there. But obviously, I just got to find a happy medium there on the setup that works both at the early stages of the race as well as the end.
Well, this bull ring went from big long tracks to a short bull ring to another tight one as you guys get ready to head off to Crandon next week. Any thoughts on that? Are you going to kind of leave a similar setup?
We run a little bit different there for Crandon with the higher speeds and stuff. So I've got a decent setup there that's worked pretty good for me. Dating back for the last handful of years. So we'll just go back to that one, maybe tweak it a little bit, see if we can get it better. That's what we're always trying to do here. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I want to beat Connor, and just got to keep putting in the laps, putting in the work.
Well, without the great sponsors, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, and I think it's time for a little love for them.
Yeah, I just got to thank Appliance Parts Company, Factory Sim Sport, ZK Designs, Sim Coach Pedals, everyone that helps out Connor's League, and of course you guys for doing the broadcast and making us look good out there.
There you go. Keaton Swain, second place. And I do believe Joe's standing there with Jacob Raffis with third place.
Indeed. And Jacob, not quite as close to that battle for the win as maybe you would have liked. But, man, what a great job to have to charge your way up into that podium anyways.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with these results we got this round too. Third place couldn't maybe got Keaton by the end there if it would have been a lap or two more. Saw they were fighting a lot and a little bit fighting, and we could have maybe catched up to them and could have been a exciting fight for the podium spots.
Because of what we saw the last time we visited here, was your main focus coming into these races to just kind of get clear of the melee?
Yeah, for sure. There was some traffic in start of the feature, but we got away cleanly and made a couple spots up and got over to a podium, and yeah.
You know, we've sometimes talked about the fact that you come here as one of the few non-North Americans racing. Is there anything comparable other than rallycross that you guys have over there to this style of racing with these trucks? I'm trying to think if I've ever seen this sort of racing over in Europe before.
Yeah, there's something called crosscart that's I think closest to this, but it's not four-wheel drive, so this is another thing. But yeah, that's what we got, and we got some buggy racing over here. But yeah, I think that's it. We don't got the pro trucks though.
It certainly is its own beast, and we're glad we have you out here racing. Who helped put you on the podium?
Simagic, Nitro Circus, and all the guys out there in Nitro Circus team.
Fantastic stuff there from Jacob Raffis in the number 13 truck today to take a third place, which is going to wrap us up. So make sure and join us, of course, as we will be back in a week, as we traditionally are this time. No makeup dates this time out. It'll be Thursday, March 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern for Crandon on the short course, remember. Big thank you to the organizers at the General Tire National Series, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Dave, Gary, John, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the General Tire National Series. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.